Hello, everyone. Looks like we are live here on Facebook. Excited to be here with you all, a little bit impromptu. I like to do these monthly energy intuitive readings where we do a week by week deep dive into looking at the month ahead so that we can really get a sense of how we can best align with the energy, work with the energy, navigate the energy. I often get next steps or just things to become aware of so you can really align with your higher path and good in this coming month. So it was like with all the extra festivities we've had going on this past month, or actually several weeks now, feels like a month, but I think about the last 2 weeks, I didn't realize we were already well into November and I had not scheduled this yet. So we are a week in. I'm going to go ahead and do the first week of November as well, because often it gives us kind of that bigger picture for everything as well. So I know this is a little impromptu. Yes, I just came as the Krishna Dash finished. Perfect timing. I love it. Hello, Anita. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and start with the first week of November, even though we have just passed, because it might give us some overall insights to glean from. And then we will move on to the week by week. So I'm super excited for that. Hello, I'm so excited, Connie, that you joined me here. I didn't announce it anywhere until about less than an hour ago, but I thought I'd use this link just in case somebody wanted to pop on with me. So happy to have you here. All right, so we're looking at the first week of November. And this is a group read that I do, again, kind of a group energy update. Last week on the 4th, we had a new moon, really powerful. And as we move into this month, we're heading into eclipse season. So eclipse seasons, just to kind of give an overview of the energy to begin with, often kind of bring about abrupt endings or highlight very specifically things that we are being called to let go of or step into in our life. And usually it's no secret by the time that it shows up, sometimes it'll come with a bang. So, you know, if we have not been doing like listening to the whispers of our soul, and we have an eclipse period, it might be rather abrupt ending to things at times, but trusting that it's always in the highest and best, trusting that what things are coming to an end, the least that we resist it, the more that we lean into it and really look at, well, what is here for us in terms of this transformation or in terms of the opportunity. Sometimes it's about closing a door so that another one can open that's more aligned with where you're going and who you are. So just know that sometimes they can be a little intense, but for me, for me, I notice oftentimes if we've been doing our work, like a lot of us are doing our work along the way, it actually opens up also really beautiful energy of manifestations, right? Opportunities of new growth. So just kind of giving that heads up as that begins. I believe the lunar eclipse, the partial lunar eclipse is on the 19th of November, and then it will go on for a series of a few weeks. I don't know the exact ending date, but we're definitely beginning that eclipse season. So just buckle up, stay grounded, stay present, and most of all, I think accept what is one of the most important messages I can say around that time. And sometimes it's a time to do that inner reflection and evaluation of, are we aligned in our life and in our choices? Okay. So the first week, so again, this is the week of November 1st through 7th, which is today in real time, but I think sometimes it's important to give us that overview. Typically I do these a little earlier in the month, but it was the middle of the week by the time I realized the November update. So here we are. This is Mother Mary. She says, watched over. I allow myself to feel safe and enjoy my life, knowing that heaven is watching over me and my loved ones. I love that, right? So this to me, I see, first of all, intuitively, I'm seeing a lot of like coming full circle. So a lot of this around coming for full circle, whatever's going on in your life, and to trust to walk through the doorway. Like I'm seeing this as just stepping through the doorway. You've completed a big circle, kind of a rite of passage, if you will, and that you are completely guided and protected in this process. So trust and keep moving forward. The next card is love. Love is the answer to all of my questions. I love this. As we tune in to try to make decisions, oftentimes at these crossroads, we have to tune in and be honest, you know, is this bringing me more in alignment with my path and purpose or for it? Am I taking this action out of love or fear? And so what I'm hearing here, kind of echoing the first card of you are loved, you are guided, you are supported, but also leaning into when you're making decisions, is this is this aligned with love? Is this aligned with my higher truth? Is this aligned with my purpose? Even if there's fear, or am I aligning with the fear or the uncertainty or my ego in terms of the direction that you take? We often get called through our comfort zone to align with our higher path and purpose. And so this is asking you to tune back in and just remember that love is the answer. So turning back into your heart, to your soul, and really see, where's your soul guiding you? Where's your heart guiding you? The other thing I want to say, because reading for a large group, it could be also if you have a particular predicament, like with somebody, right? If there's a conflict or a predicament, about kind of tuning back into love, right? Can we surrender into love? Can we, I almost want to say, for just as like for a small few, like if there is some kind of conflict, sometimes we could be meeting that conflict with needing to be right. And again, this is never about not honoring our truth or being treated less than stellar, basically less than what is acceptable. But sometimes we could be arguing to be right. And this is also just tuning into, what would love do? What would love do, right? The next part is quiet. I go into peaceful silence and I listen. And since this was the week of the new moon as well, this makes sense a lot, because there's just so much when it comes to, hearing our intuition, the voice of our soul, tuning into love, that requires us to be still. That requires us to turn down the noise of the outside world and our busyness of our mind and our to-dos and our egos and our fears. And it asks us to quiet the mind and listen and tune into that voice, that inner voice. And as you do that, you're going to be embodying much more peace and much more connection to your inner self. I'm also seeing and hearing intuitively on this is like, what is your inner child? So there may be some things that your inner child could be saying in terms of your emotions. Sometimes the emotions, if you're feeling extra emotional, or if you did this past week, right? Because this part is technically from the November 1st through 7th, which is today, the 7th. So it's like maybe you are feeling extra tender or sensitive or emotional or intuitive. But if you're feeling emotional, then just knowing that is actually could be, quieting to listen to your inner child, or quieting to listen to your emotional needs as they yield answers. And that's really where the healing is at. Wow, I just did a reunion Reiki session that included making a choice and walking through a portal on a new path. I love the synchronicity. Rhodochrosite says, be gentle with yourself. And so you've been through a lot and you need a time to heal and recover. And so this is about really just honoring yourself, honoring your needs. So there's a lot of divine feminine energy. So hopefully you guys made time this past week to tune into that divine feminine energy within all of us, because that is really looks like what would be the most nurturing. And if you haven't making that time, then today's still the 7th, right? So you can take time for what self-care can you do today in order to nurture yourself. And so that is the first week's message. And that also makes sense just in general when you're kind of tuning into the new moon energy, because the new moon was right in the middle of that week. And prior to and right after, we can tend to be a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more tuned into our intuition, actually, and our emotions, which is a good thing. But it can also sometimes feel overwhelming if we have been avoiding listening to ourselves. And so I always find it's a good practice to utilize the energy of the astrology, what's happening in the world around us, on an astrology level, and work with that energy instead of fight against it. And so I often make special time, extra time later on my schedule, knowing that around the new moon, I might feel a little low on energy, right? So let me know how these resonate with you. We're going to move into the next week. So this begins tomorrow. Our tomorrow is November 8th, which is actually my birthday. I'm excited. I've been having fun this weekend with my family and celebrating, but November 8th through the 14th. So November 8th through the 14th. And we have Mother Mary here. I'm also feeling called to move into the Starseed deck. When I do these readings, I kind of just pull out a bunch of decks that are calling to me and see what wants to come through. So November 8th through 14th. Thank you, Anita. I will have a wonderful birthday. So far, it's already been a really powerful, fun. We've played games and had dinner with my family yesterday. Going to dinner with a friend tonight. Had energy healing on Friday. Going on a movie date with my daughter next weekend. So I'm just filling it up. All right. So let's take a look here at November 8th through 14th. Hope. I trust that God has a wonderful solution and brilliant plans in store for me. I trust that God has a wonderful plan, solution, and brilliant ideas in store for me. So this is really, asking to continue to surrender, right? To surrender and to trust and to lean into what it is your soul's calling you towards. I'm seeing a lot of spiritual support. Those of you that were active in the series, the 4-day series, those replays are still available, by the way, through November 16th. So there's plenty of time to go through them if you haven't, or if you had your intentions of doing them and didn't finish, they are still available through November 16th. And I recommend checking them out. But what I'm seeing here, because all the cards really, it's calling you back to knowing that you're not alone. You're guided, you're supported, your spiritual support team is here. We worked a lot with calling our team in, and now it's about surrendering into that trust and into the arms of your angels, into your higher source, and really just trusting that all is well. Also trusting yourself to be able to follow through on what it is your soul's calling you towards, right? Trusting that you will be able to take the actions and the steps that you're being guided to, and also surrendering the control of the how. So hope can also be just being hopeful towards looking towards your future, towards optimism, making sure that we're paying attention to our mindset, keeping our eyes focused on where we're going, and leaning into that arms of our angels for that support. The next card is Child of the Cosmos. And it's the intelligence of the universe lies within you. I love this card. See how pretty that is, right? She's tuning in. I'm just seeing that heart chakra really expanded. I just see her really, again, sort of open into this surrendered space. So we've had a lot of different ways of saying, lean into your divine feminine energy and into that divine feminine, the actions that sustain your divine feminine energy, whether you're male or female, does not matter. We all have and need both our divine feminine and masculine energy. And so there's a big error of allowing space for the divine feminine, which could look like self-care. It could look like rest. It could look like art and creativity. It could look like meditation and journaling, retreating, giving yourself that quiet time to go within. Your intuition comes through that divine feminine energy, but we have to lean in and we have to quiet down and we have to not busy ourselves and be present in order to hear that. And so this is just to me, this is like giving you like, oh man, all the answers are within you, right? But you got to lean back and surrender. See how she's very surrendered, leaning back and just allowing the flow of the universe and the cosmic intelligence to really flow through her, to her, and through her, right? In this image. And it's really, really beautiful. It's that expansive part of yourself, right? Cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy. So I never really look at the next card, but I'm seeing that energy of surrender, and now we have it here again. And so just knowing if you've gone through a difficult time, especially for those of you, if you felt like you've been through a dark night of the soul, whether it's in a short term, a long term, it's just knowing that you are getting to your authentic self through this experience. There's opportunity for transformation and change, and just trusting the process of what maybe sometimes it can feel intense as we're going through these processes of healing and of expanding and awakening, or if there's a sudden like shift, something happened that feels out of our control, something like that happens. It's like just knowing and trusting that that's the first step of really aligning to something better and new for you that's going to serve you in a higher way, right? So just trusting that. And I say that again because we are starting to head into that eclipse season. And so this being the 14th, I think the official partial lunar eclipse is on the 19th, if I'm correct, close to there, right? We're going to start feeling that energy, right? And sometimes that does bring abrupt endings. So this could also be a little bit of a forewarning or foreshadowing. If there's something that does come up, it's kind of about just leaning back and trusting and accepting what is and just learning from, what is the opportunity of growth here? What is the opportunity of learning here? How can I really align? Because we can align in every second of any moment. We can align to something better. So no matter where we're at, it's like tuning in, leaning into that hope, leaning into that arms of the angels, leaning into your intuition, trusting yourself in those moments where you feel that life is happening in a way that may not feel the way that you expected, or if you feel out of control, or something happens that feels out of your control, or something is happening that doesn't feel like what you wanted to happen, right? In that moment, the more that we can surrender, tune into that hope, tune into our guidance and our team, trusting and knowing that there's an opportunity on the other side and that this is serving you in some way, right? It's the resistance to what is that can be hard. Stress reduction, watermelon tourmaline, De-stress your mind, body, and schedule. So you need to rest, recharge, and revive. So this is kind of echoing a lot of that energy that we've been seeing with the divine feminine in terms of leaning in, surrendering, right? Creating that space. What do you need for you? What do you need? So it feels like this month we're really going to need to make sure that we are putting enough time for us on the schedule and really tuning into your body, right? The TLC body meditation is a tool that I gave you guys throughout the 4-day series, and it's also in the post with the bonus section that you can see the meditation link there. It's also, if you guys are on Zoom, then you'll notice that there is a bonus section on I think it's on day 1. You have to scroll down and see. You probably have seen it by now because I've talked about it a lot. But if not, just know that it's on the bonus pages and also in the pinned post. So let's move on to the 3rd week. So the 3rd week is November 21st through 27th. So November 21st through 20, yeah. What is it? Actually, that's the 2nd week. So there's actually 5 weeks on my calendar. That's why I was getting confused. So it's actually November 15th through 21st. So we'll do November 15th through 21st. I fill in the dragons. Ooh, starting to see some action cards coming. Okay, so November 15th through 21st. The first card is Source Dragon, attunes you to the infinite. I love this card, so pretty, right? But it's also really powerful. It's really just tuning you into that expansion of yourself. This actually kind of reminds me of the just see that energy within expanding. Reminds me a little bit of the abundance activation that came through for this month's workshop. For those of you that have that, it's like playing with that energy because I'm seeing that infinity symbol. So for those of you that got the workshop this month for November, or if you're in the Soul Success Unleashed program, it's a bonus. You have it in your portal already. I'm just seeing that abundance infinity number. So it might be that if you haven't listened to it yet, check it out. So it's kind of a sidebar there for you because I see that infinity symbol. For everyone, I feel like this is, again, be still and silence and magic can happen. So this is calling us still into the feminine energy, but it's calling you into your wisdom, right? We all have access to that divine and cosmic wisdom within. So this is really about leaning in and really surrendering to that spiritual perspective. How can you zoom out and surrender even more into that more expanded version of who you truly are? And if your perspective is leaning into to source directly, or just in tuning into the expansiveness of the universe, however it is that breaks you free from the mental body and the human limitations to see a new perspective or point of view for the situations that you're in, it looks like that could be really powerful. The royal blue and gold dragon strengthens you to stand in your power with wisdom. Awaken to your own majesty, wear your cloak with power and pride. I love this because this is really about really tapping into I would say tapping into your power, right? It's really calling you into your power. It's really acknowledging your power and supporting you. A couple of things I'm seeing here specifically about, it's like, let me just tune in for a second. I feel like I'm getting 3 different messages. This is really about being seen on some level, right? I'm feeling like the biggest card here is like really allowing yourself to be seen and heard for who you truly are, like on an authentic level, whether that's in your life, with your relationships, or in your business, or even just to yourself. It feels like as you've gone through such a amount of spiritual healing and spiritual awakening, you're being called more fully into your power, into your wisdom, into your truth, right? And part of this is about standing in that pride of it all, standing in that integrity and that pride of valuing who you are and allowing yourself to love who you are just as you are. And for some of you, this is really also about kind of coming out of the spiritual closet, perhaps. That may not be for everyone, but for some of you, there is a level of really kind of calling you into your authentic expression. And I'm definitely seeing that infinity symbol left in everywhere, in a lot of different cards now. So it really is about tapping into the energy of your infinite self and the infinite creator. The next card is Priestess. Okay, so this, yeah, kind of falls in line. How are you being called to step up and lead? And so this is a lot about you stepping into your power, stepping into your voice, your authenticity, allowing yourself to be seen and heard for that higher, more aligned version of who you are. And for many of you, how you're meant to be serving in the world. And also that alignment with your inner self. So for some of you that may not feel called to be of service yet or at all, with your business in terms of like holistic healing and such, this is also about just aligning yourself with being in integrity with your value and your word and in your life and in your relationships and how you're showing up. And I think the same holds true for those that feel called to being of service and in purpose in their purpose work in the world. Many of you are being called into your purpose and to be aligning more with that, whether you're clear on what that is or not. There's a validation that yes, your vision, your hopes, your dreams, like what it is you see that you're feeling called to do, whether it's writing a book, speaking, teaching, whatever's in your heart that you're called to, or that vision that you have is being validated in that way. And it's also just calling you into your next level of leadership, whatever that might be. And for some of you, it's in your healing abilities and your spiritual gifts. And always, I think in our spiritual and spiritually aligned businesses, I think this holds especially true that alignment with being in integrity and walking our talk is directly related to our business. So it's almost like we have to be aligned in our personal life as well as we expand in our business, that they go hand in hand. And that's where, for me, the deepest spiritual growth I've done is like you have that initial awakening that's kind of jolting because you go from unconscious to conscious, and then you have to start dealing with the inner healing journey for the first time, maybe. So that can feel intense and out of the blue in some cases. However, once you start getting the tools and you start really stepping out, I feel like your spiritual purpose is some of the deepest spiritual work you'll do. You'll be more equipped because now you're kind of knowing how to work energy, the more tools you learn and gain to process the energy and keep moving forward. But there is a level, like what's coming up here in these two cards, even though it's not specifically stated, is a level of healing your visibility fears. I know many of people that are called to me are feeling called to lead and to be of service. And a lot of times with their spiritual work, and this is where a lot of my programs and things that I work with specifically is around your visibility fears, feeling safe in your body, being able to feel safe sharing your truth, healing those deeper inner wounds so that you can lead and so that you can stand and share your gifts on a large scale and make that healing ripple effect that I know you're feeling in your heart you're called to do. The next card is renewing your life. Radiant vitality is filling my life. So this is interesting because I kind of got this sense, and I didn't say it earlier. I don't remember what card it was. Maybe it was the stress reduction card, but I almost had this retrograde feel. We're not in retrograde right now. Actually, a lot of the energy feels more forward moving as a lot of the planets have gone direct this past month that were in retrograde. However, there is a sense that I'm getting around, and I'm not an astrologer, but maybe eclipses bring this energy about as well, this kind of reviewing and renewing and releasing, because it says like renew your life, vitality is filling my life, and releasing clutter. And I was kind of getting that sense earlier too, like releasing clutter, letting go, clearing out, making room, making space. And I guess that does kind of fall in line with how eclipses will come into play often, because they do come in and take swift endings to things in order to make new openings and doorways for the new to come in. Stand in your power and do not allow it to be taken. I love that, Beth. Beautiful. When we allow the universe to guide us and take action, we are able to co-create amazing moments. Yes, 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 absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the week of, so 1, 2, 3. So the week of the 22nd through 28th. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the 22nd through the 30th because there's only 2 days into that next week. So this will be the 22nd through the end of the month. Oh my goodness, can't make this stuff up, you guys. The synchronicities always come through. We were just talking about this in the last row. So let's see what else wants to come. Okay. So the first card says amethyst. It says revealing your true self. So if you love crystals, you might love the stone. Amethyst could be really healing for you. I love the amethyst stone. It also says revealing your true self. As you allow yourself As you allow others to know the real you, you feel loved for who you truly are. We were just talking about that, right? It goes hand in hand as we love and accept ourselves, and as we allow ourselves to be expressed into the world, whether, in our personal relationships, as well as in our businesses, the more that we'll attract and be received with people who can appreciate and see our value as well. So that's when you start to call in your soul tribe, whether it's for a business or whether it's just the communities as friends, whether it's your soul partner, whether it's friendships, whether it's just feeling valued for who you are in your workspace, right? The more that we're doing this for ourselves, the more that we're actually going to start to call that in. I'm also seeing a lot around the third eye awakening. So cultivating your clairvoyance. Amethyst can also be a lot around activating your psychic gifts, which we've been doing a lot for those of you that are part of the 4-day series. Again, those replays are still available. If you haven't gotten there, you might like day 3. Day 3, we did a clairvoyant activation, which was really, really powerful. Because I'm definitely seeing that third eye. I'm seeing the heart chakra healing, as a part of that, well, heart to throat, which we've been talking about in terms of expression of self, and then that third eye awakening. And so really this is kind of goes hand in hand with all of what we've been looking at. And then Moonstone says heightened intuition, be extra aware of your inner knowingness as it's trustworthy. And again, seeing the third eye. So I can't help but to say, for those of you too that might be thinking about wanting to develop your intuitive gifts, because we have the third eye twice with your clairvoyance, right? And the Soul Success Unleashed program that is open, most likely open for enrollment at this time. We are going deep into clearing all these types of visibility fears, all the blocks that I just kind of realized that we've been talking about. Those are the types of common fears and blocks that we work hard, to release and heal throughout our program time together, to align with your higher path and purpose and to awaken your gifts. And we work specifically with a lot of those visibility fears and speaking your truth, as seems to be a common theme, as well as activating that third eye in your psychic and intuitive gifts. So if you're feeling the call, we still have time to join. We don't begin until the enrollment closes on November 16th as well. So give me a reach out if you guys are curious about more information on that program, because it could be a great next step. The next card is Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Okay, so 2 cards are here actually. The first card says pause. Okay, so this is like, it feels like, okay, and then it came out also with the Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. So there's a sense of like, sometimes we can feel like this urgency, right, of wanting things to be happening now on our timing. And sometimes we want things to happen faster. We can get impatient. I think that the feeling that I'm getting from this, because it's saying pause, wait, right? In some cases, it could be no. If you have something in your mind, it might be a no. But mostly what I'm feeling here is that there's sometimes we can feel this urgency, and sometimes we can be wanting things to be happening in a different timeline than they are, which can create this feeling of impatience, which can just keep things further away from us. So what I'm feeling is kind of a lean back into that divine feminine energy again, right? It's like leaning into that pause, leaning into that, getting in sync with not necessarily how we want or think it should be or how things are going to manifest or come into fruition, but be patient. It feels like maybe there's an impatience energy sometimes that could be coming in, but just trusting that it's happening. It's all happening in the right timing. And Lemuria says, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. And so it feels like, just if there is anyone that's feeling like a little bit of a sense of like urgency or like, and I feel like internally as light workers, we can feel that too, like the alarm clock going off, it's time to be taking action, especially if we haven't been. But all in all, I feel like this is just saying, accepting what is important, taking the time for that pause, trusting that all is well and that this is happening. Anna, grandmother of Jesus, says seeding the light, laying foundations and divine plan. So yeah, kind of is like aligning with that divine plan, trusting that what you're going through in any situation is actually preparing you, right? It's preparing you for what it is that you, it is preparing you for what it is that you are here to do, right? You are laying the foundations right now. You are clearing the way. And sometimes that's where maybe that impatience feeling I was feeling, where it's kind of like, okay, but maybe you have a purpose and you've been taking actions and you feel like things aren't unfolding in the way that you had hoped by now. And that can create a sense of urgency or pressure that actually works against us in terms of allowing ourselves to be in alignment with receiving what it is that we're calling in. Sometimes that feeling of that resistance or frustration with things not happening on the timeline that we think or desire can sometimes actually keep it further away, keep it actually taking a little bit longer, because there's that resistance to what is happening, right? So it's about having that acceptance to what is, and realizing that you are seeding the light, you are part of a divine plan, you're laying the foundation, and you're not alone. It's a really beautiful card. All right. So that is our messages for this month. I'm going to see if there's one more card from the dragons that want to come through. I'll just check back on the comments here in a second. Golden, silver, violet flame. Transmute the old around you with wisdom and grace. It's time for transmutation, magic and healing. Offer service under grace. So and I'm seeing the butterfly straight away. Right. So I'm seeing a lot of that, we're in a time of transformation and transmutation. So it's kind of is that vibration of kind of releasing the old, and it could be your old wounds. It could be your old mindsets. It could be your old thoughts. It could be people. It could be things as well. So decluttering, this is kind of where I feel like I was getting that vibe of the, kind of the retrograde vibe, right? I just feel like because eclipses do, they kind of wash away the old and what's not working. And it also says, offer service under grace. And so I feel like many of you guys are being called into your leadership and into your service and your purpose work. As we saw earlier with this, it's time to lead card. So that is all very beautiful. Thank you guys for joining with me today. It's been my honor and pleasure to have you here as always. We have a few amazing things coming up this coming week you won't want to miss. We have a mini clairvoyant readings are coming up where I have students from the Soul Success Unleashed program who have been courageously volunteered to read some individual personal readings for those of you that are live on the call. The way we do this every year is really powerful. It's always synchronistic, right? It's always very synchronistic. And so whether you get chosen specifically or not, there's going to be a high value because the themes that come through, it's like we glean wisdom from everybody's reading for ourselves. There's always a synchronistic theme, and we're going to run healing energy for the entire group. For those of you who are curious about the Soul Success Unleashed program, you'll also get to see in real time what they're learning, right? And actually this group, I wasn't sure if they'd be ready to, feeling confident too, because they still have around a whole month left of their program. They actually only have been there reading for about a month now. I think they've had the reading tools for about 4.5 weeks, maybe, of the 14 weeks time of the 3-month time. And so it's like they sometimes when I run this mini readings, they are completing it. So they are a whole month early and they're still stepping in to say yes. So I was just like so excited. I wasn't sure if they were feeling ready or not, but they are. So that is going to be amazing. You'll get to learn the types of breakthroughs and hear from them, their experience on what they're learning, and you get to see it in real time. So that will be awesome. We're also going to be giving away the raffles. So those of you that have participated in the raffle, I have 14 different prizes I'm going to be giving away. So you will want to keep your eyes out for that. I'm thinking it's going to be Wednesday. I'm thinking it's going to be Wednesday, but it's not 100% set in stone. We'll of course announce it. You don't have to be live to win. So we're going to still reach out to those who win, but it's going to be fun to do live. We have 14 different winners for just participation. Everybody that signed up for the 4-day series actually got an automatic entry. And then there was ways to have additional entries, which you can still do. So if you want to earn several extra entries into the pit, into the piles to have a higher chance of winning prizes, you still have a few days to do so. And that is very simply done through the 4-day link in the announcement post. You can also email my team if you want questions for that. The other thing I have is I have added several 15-minute appointments on the calendar. So those of you that are interested or excited about joining the Soul Success Unleashed program, or maybe you just have questions about if it's right for you, I'm happy to hop on a call with you. We've had many people already jumping in, already getting so many emails and seeing posts about how amazing and awesome and the experiences they're already having in a positive way with just a few days, 3 or 4 days of listening to the Foundation's bonus. It's not a bonus program. It's actually the Foundation's program of energetic mastery, where they're using the energy mastery tools because you get immediate access. So if you're on the fence, or if you know you're going to join, I would jump in because you'll have immediate access to get going now, which will just give you an even more solid foundation, because we've opened up access to all of the bonuses as well as the energetic mastery program. And people are already having a lot of really awesome experiences just playing with those basic grounding and cleansing tools that are so empowering for the empathic person. So that is what we have going on this coming week. I believe, 11/11. I also have an 11/11 is a powerful portal day. So we're going to be doing a Facebook Live event. You want to check your calendar event. And then in the Facebook group, under announcements, there's 2 pinned posts. One has the replays for the 4-day series. If you'd like to check that out. And then one of them has the calendar events for the next couple of weeks that we'll be doing. And then if you're here on Zoom, which I didn't really announce we were doing it here, but I love that a couple of you showed up here. That's why I joined this link instead of my other one, in case you did. Then check your calendar. We sent a PDF calendar. You can always hit reply to any email to my team so that you can get the calendar of updates of the things that we'll be doing. So I hope that is everything for you guys today. I look forward to talking with you again soon. Thank you for joining me, Vina and Connie over here on Zoom, as well as all of you here on Facebook Live. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. All right, bye.